Summertime is here, or if it's not already here when you're seeing this video, it's coming, okay? Summer is my favorite season. I am an outdoor girl. I love being outside. I love going to the beach, the pool. So I thrive in the summer. And I've got quite a few eyeshadow palette picks that I just picked out from my collection that are perfect for this time of year. Now, of course, you don't have to theme your makeup to the time of year. You can wear whatever you want at any time of the year. You don't need me to tell you that. But these palettes are giving me summer vibes. So that is what we're going to talk about today. I will link the palettes that are available down below in the description box. I will also put up the letters PR on the screen for those that I received in PR. And I also, in the description box, mark the ones I got in PR with an asterisk. Let me know your thoughts on these palettes and let me know some other palette picks that you think would be perfect for summer. I try not to repeat palettes that I've mentioned in past iterations of this video. I can link last year's version down below. I still stand by all of those recommendations. But in the summertime, I feel like there are two types of eyeshadow looks that I think of when I think of summertime. I think of bronzy, warm neutrals, and then I also think of bright and colorful. So I've got a handful of palettes in each category. So I've got a So I have palette picks for both situations, both categories. So let's start off with the bronzy / warm palettes. The first one I want to talk about is an oldie but a goodie. I mean, it's not that old, but it's a couple of years old. And this is the Precious Metals palette from ColourPop. I love the Mega palettes from ColourPop. I feel like the quality is very good. Speaking of summer and the heat, my air conditioner just kicked on. It should be kicking off in just a moment. But anyway, Precious Metals from ColourPop. It is a palette full of neutrals, okay? So if you don't want neutrals, I wouldn't suggest this palette, but like I said, I gravitate towards neutrals year round, but especially in the summertime. I don't know what it is. I just really love neutrals, definitely warm tones, and there are quite a few warm tones in here, but you can go more cool toned as well. And like I said, I really enjoy the formula of the ColourPop Mega palettes. Some of their best formulas, in my opinion. The mattes are really nice. They aren't super hard pressed in the pan, which I feel like some of their palettes, their mattes can be pressed harder in the pan than in their Mega palette. So they pick up really nicely on a brush. They're not like the most pigmented mattes in the world, but I think they're really good. And I really enjoy that in these Mega palettes, they do put different types of shimmer formulas. We have these like glitter hybrid shimmer formulas, which I personally like. Then we have more of a stepped up metallic, and then we have a standard metallic. Really fun, light to deep in the mattes, which I go for, and this one is a really, really good one. I think this came in the top 10 palettes the year that this came out for me. So it's one I would definitely recommend. Now, if you're someone that wants something that's a little more condensed, you still want some neutrals, but maybe you also want some other tones in there, I would definitely recommend the Cosmic Brushes, or Cosmic Beauty is what they're called now, Neutrals palette. One of my absolute favorite palettes from the brand, if not my favorite palette from the brand, if I'm gonna be honest with you. I love the Cosmic Beauty formula. Their mattes are super buttery. I think that they're just so easy to work with, and they're just super buttery. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. And I really like the shimmer formula from Cosmic Beauty. I will tell you, like, generally speaking, I really enjoy a smooth shimmer. I'm not a big fan of a super like textured, chunky, you know, takes over the whole look type of shimmer. That's just not my favorite thing. So for me, these are perfect shimmers. They're ultra smooth. Maybe they're not overly sparkly or super like multi-chromes or anything, although they do always include one special multi-chrome in their palettes, at least one. And then they usually put in like an iridescent duochrome. So they do include a few different types of shimmers, but it's mostly a standard shimmer. I personally really enjoy that. I love these like mustardy tones. I love that there is a whole row of purples. You can get a green look, but this is really very neutral leaning in my opinion, and I just really tend to reach for that this time of year. This is a really good like neutrals with a twist type of palette. Now, if we're stepping more towards the warm tone side, if you want a palette, by the way, you don't need to go out and buy these palettes. I'm just kind of picking them out of my collection, and you may have palettes, you may have these palettes, or you may have palettes that are similar. You know, at this point, enough eyeshadow palettes have come out that You can probably get a similar look with a palette you already have, but this is just more inspiration based, you know? But anyway, this palette is just all warm tones, straight up warm tones. It's more of a small, very small condensed palette, and that is the Fantasy Cosmetica Monk palette. I did do ranking all the palettes I've tried so far this year, so I'm not gonna go too far into this. I can link that video down below, but this did come up very high in my countdown. I really enjoy the Fantasy Cosmetica formula. It's one of the best. Very pigmented mattes, very shiny, sparkly shimmers, but not chunky and textured. They are just ultra smooth, but they have tons of dimension. This one up here is like it's almost like a molten gold. It's so beautiful. It's iridescent. This one in here is like a marbled orange coral with some flecks of like bluish purple. Very interesting. The mattes are really beautiful, especially if you like warm tones. And this is like the most summery palette I think that they have in their line right now. If you're looking for warm, but you want it to be more like pinky coral warm, this is a great palette. The Natasha Denona Bloom palette. Again, I did mention this in my ranking all the palettes I've tried so far this year video recently. This also came up very high in the countdown. I really enjoy the Natasha Denona formula. I think it's very good. The mattes are very easy to work with, super buttery. They do end up looking like they do in the pan, but they're not like super powdery or aren't hard to blend or anything like that. And I really enjoy, again, the different depths that she put into this palette. Now, are you gonna get a ton of different looks out of this? No, probably not. You are going to get a warm pinky coral look most of the time, but I love that look. I love that look. It's what I want this time of year. Every single time I wear this palette, I love how it looks. And I think I gravitate towards these like warm corals because they make my eye color pop, which I really enjoy. I just love the Natasha Denona formula, and I love in her newer midi palettes that the shimmer formulas have stepped up compared to her past midi palettes that she came out with 3-4 years ago. I do really feel like she's improving them a lot. So this is a gorgeous palette. I am a little biased when it comes to this. Now we're heading towards like the warm, but mixed in with some other tones as well. I am a little biased when it comes to this palette. This is the Singe Beauty Agate Temptation. I have been using this palette non-stop. This isn't even a palette that I rank because my friend Angelica Nyqvist owns this brand, so I don't think it's fair to rank it because I have an extra special love for it because it is my friend's brand. But I will tell you, I've been reaching for this all the time. I brought it with me traveling last week and I really enjoy this. First of all, the cover art is so beautiful. And I really love, again, warm tones. These two bottom rows are very warm, but we have some pops of green, and that is another color, again, that I love year round. But these greens, especially like these brighter greens for the summertime, it's giving palm tree. You know what I'm saying? So love that addition of the greens. The formula for Singe Beauty is so good, and I'm not surprised because Angie is an indie makeup reviewer, has been for so many years, so she knows her formulas, and she made really good formulas with this. Super smooth shimmers that do have that sparkle to them. Again, we have one of these like iridescent duochromes, which I love having. Some really pretty standard shimmers. We have this shade here, Crystallized. This is such an interesting shade. I don't know if you can see that shift. And then the mattes are very buttery, pigmented without being overly pigmented, that they're hard to work with, and really gorgeous different tones. You can mix and match the sides. You can use them separately. I've created so many looks with this, and it's a really good one for summertime, in my opinion. If you want a condensed version, in my opinion, of that, of course, doesn't have all of the tones that that one has. I really enjoy the Unearthly Cosmetics The Daily Grind. It is actually what I'm wearing on my eyes today. And this is another like warm tone and green combo palette, but in a 9-pan form. And this one doesn't go very deep. It is pretty mid-tone in the matte, so keep that in mind. But these, Unearthly Cosmetics has one of my favorite formulas. You guys know that if you've been here before. Super pigmented, really smooth mattes that don't cause fallout. They're pressed pretty hard in the pan, but they still pick up pretty nicely in a brush. And their shimmers are just ultra smooth and sparkly. And they are so beautiful. I love this one, Impulse. It is a topper shade. It's got more of a translucent base. I did use this and this matte on my eye. I used this on my lid, and I tapped that topper shade on top to create this look. And this is a really summery, warm, it's giving oranges. It's reminding me of summertime. It's not a palette that I really think about all that often, or I don't pull out very often, but I thought about this for the summertime for sure. All right, now we're gonna go into the straight up colorful side, okay? So this palette, the newest palette from DD Signature, the Drops of Fantasy palette, is their best like packaging I've seen them do thus far. Very luxurious. We've got these like kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Very, very sparkly, not sparkly, but very shiny elements to it, raised glossy elements. And if you are looking for a condensed, I don't want to say rainbow because there's no reds, but there are, you know, a lot of other colors of the rainbow. If you're looking for a condensed version that's matte heavy, I would suggest this one. The mattes are very pigmented. The shimmers are beautiful, especially this one in the middle called Float in Magic. It is a holographic shade that is very smooth. All of the shimmers in this palette are special shimmers, and they are very eye-catching. I've always enjoyed DD Signature's shimmer formula, but their mattes are continuing to improve with every single release. And although this isn't like my favorite color story ever, because I don't really tend to reach for overly colorful looks, I can't deny this is perfect for the summer, and I wanted to suggest it to you if this is something that you've been eyeing, or again, if you already own it or you have something like it, to reach it out for this season, because I do think of bright, fun, colorful looks for the summertime. I have 3 mermaid themed palettes to talk about because mermaids are summertime, right? I feel like a mermaid in the summertime. Fun fact, when I was a little kid, I used to have a summer house in Maine, and we were on a lake and there was a big rock, and I used to pretend I was Ariel. Like I would throw myself on the rock being all dramatic and being like, Daddy, I love him, all this stuff. So I've been a little mermaid for so many years. Speaking of the Little Mermaid, let's talk about the Sigma The Little Mermaid palette, okay? So this palette, I think, in terms of color story and formula, is one of their most interesting and most stepped up palettes that I've seen from them. I always love Sigma's formula. I think they have a really, really good formula. Their mattes are just like a good, solid formula, kind of like a high-end brand. And their shimmers are really pretty. They're usually more on the dry side, which I personally like. I like that more than a chunky emollient texture. But these shimmers are a little bit more stepped up than their normal shimmers. I think they're so beautiful. We have some special shifting shimmers in here, and this is very colorful for the brand. We do have this side where you can create neutral looks, but then we have blue, purple, green on this side where you can create a little bit more of a mermaidy look. But really beautiful formula, more stepped up for the brand. Gorgeous. And I love The Little Mermaid. It's one of my favorite Disney movies. Then we have the Gourmand Girls Call of the Sirens palette, another siren theme. This is a little bit deeper. This is a little more dark than The Little Mermaid. Gourmand Girls is an indie brand out of Texas, and this is beautiful. This is beautiful. I've created quite a few looks with this every single time. I love how the look comes out. I did create a neutral look with some of these neutrals. I did create more of like a purpley look with this. And Gourmand Girls is another brand that I feel like they put in several different shimmer formulas. We have some more that are smooth. We have some that are a little chunky, a little textured. Not my favorite formula, but I do feel like there's only a couple in here that are like that. We have this more iridescent yellowy shade, and this is really gorgeous jewel tones. We have light, mid-tone, and deep in the mattes. It's a beautiful one from the brand. And last but not least, we have the Beauty Below from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. This is going even deeper and smokier than the last palette we were talking about. 10 out of 10 on the cover art. It's very heavy, very luxurious. It has a really big mirror. And then this is a beautiful jewel toned, more mid-tone to deep in the mattes. The shimmers in this are my favorite shimmers they've done. Super smooth, one swipe, full pigment, really, really gorgeous, but not chunky, not textured shimmers. They created quads with this, so you can easily put together looks sticking to quads, or you can mix match, of course, because a lot of the times with Blend Bunny, they do a gradient style, which I know a lot of people enjoy, but I don't feel like this is too jumbled. Like, to me, it makes a lot of sense, and I quite like when they go out of the box and do something different, because it can get repetitive just doing the gradient style. But I also feel like it kind of makes me open up and try different things, versus with the gradient style, I'm usually sticking to the gradient. Let me know what you think about the gradient style versus this style. Do you like that they switch it up, or do you prefer one over the other? But yeah, I mean, I love Blend Bunny. They have my favorite matte formula. I want to say top 3 favorite matte formula ever. Very pigmented, extremely easy to work with. They have their matte formula down, and the shimmers in this are so stunning. All right, and that is it for this summer palettes video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know, once again, what you think about these palettes, or leave me a comment letting me know 1 or 2 or a few palettes that you will be reaching for this summer, or are there any palettes out there that have come out recently that you're eyeing for the summer? Let me know down in the comments, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye.